Hello people, remember I'm away today, so you need to work all by yourselves. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do. So today we're working on cultural diffusion. Last lesson we started to examine how cultures diffuse, which means spread across the globe, and we were looking at the Sydney Opera House as an example. Now the aims for today are to complete your analysis and then to consolidate using chapter 12.5 of the textbook. If you have finished your worksheet and have completed your analysis, skip to the end of this video and look at the last slide. That has the questions to answer in chapter 12.5. Okay, so last lesson we revised our key concept of place perception, and then we started to look at how the Sydney Opera House embodied culture, and I asked you to look at what's on Sydney Opera House, choosing a show you wanted to see. The main activity, once you chose your show, was to add to the mind map. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So here we have a mind map, and I'm going to start with language. I've decided I want to see the opera, Madame Butterfly by Puccini. Now that opera was written in Italian. It now has English and Chinese subtitles written beneath it, so Australians can understand it. Now, it's an expensive thing, is putting on an opera. So moving across to political system, you can always add that these productions are funded by the Australian government. Now let's move down and have a think about ethnic background. Well, the origin of Madame Butterfly is Italy, and its audience today is Australian, and because there are Chinese subtitles, I'm wondering if it is intended to attract Chinese tourists in particular. The social organisation is we volunteer to go to something like Madame Butterfly. No one makes us go to performances. It's a user pay system, and there are different classes of tickets. Now the custom it really represents is that the custom that we go to live venues and live performances. We don't just watch everything on our screens. We sometimes go and watch them in the flesh. Now for arts and literature, this particular opera obviously has a lot of classical music in it. So it particularly showcases voice, and it showcases an orchestra. Now in the economic system, obviously it's contributing because there are ticket sales, and as you know, the tickets are not cheap. There are also programs that you can buy when you go, and if you're like me, you get hungry, and there's a very good chance you will buy food. So food sales are also contributing to our economic system. Once you've done your own mind map, the second part of the worksheet is to think about how the Opera House contributes to Australian culture, how it contributes to Australian identity, and how it could spread other cultures to Australia. There are some answers on the next two slides, but I'm going to skip over them. If you need to stop the video and watch them and read them, then feel free to stop and do so. So here are some examples of what you might think about for Australian culture. We start with the general point that the Opera House is a performing arts centre. People can go and watch performances, but then you discuss your particular performance. Mine was Madame Butterfly, so I referred to that very carefully and very closely. Now, contributing to Australian identity is an interesting thing. Basically, every production that we see, even if it is written overseas, helps us to explore cultural influences. And you could argue that that contributes to our awareness of other cultures and the way we see ourselves as a multicultural society. Okay, so people, your next step, go to chapter 12.5 of the textbook. It is loaded for you on Learning Field in your class folder. You need to read pages 288 and 289. Then please answer questions 1, 2, 3, 6 and 7 on page 291. You can miss question 4. And instead of question 5, I'd like you to name the sports you think of as being related to Australian culture, the sports you think of as being related to Chinese culture, and one other culture of your choice. And people, if you get through all of that, you're on free time. Enjoy. I'll see you on Monday.